Hey fine folks, I'm Grandmaster Denes Boros, and today I'm going to show you the big game between Beth Harmon and Beltik. Guess what it is? It is Queen's Gambit. Let's get into it. E4, C6, knight f3, d5, knight c3. Typical nod to Mr. Bobby Fischer. Beth plays Fischer's favorite line. Bishop g4, h3, and we get a typical situation after bishop takes f3, queen takes f3 that Fischer always loved. Bishop pair. So now Beth is going to use those bishops like it's no one's business. 6, g3, g6, bishop g2, castles, knight d7, queen e2. Just avoiding any of those knight tricks. d4, just trying to close up the position, which makes sense as the bishops usually love open positions. Knight b1, e5, e3. Now usually retreating is not a great idea, but here, in this case, black and white both have enough time to regroup. Knight e7, f4. Trying to open it up, just in the spirit of the position. If these bishops ever open up, let's say castles e5, white will be the one with better chances. Queen c7, naturally keeping it closed. a4, castle, castles f5. Now white actually decides to go for the attack with g4, g5. Here comes f6, trying to make sure that there's no direct attack yet. So Beth goes with knight d2, going with this maneuver, and sometimes she can even consider going this direction. Bishop h6, king h2, all preparatory moves, just waiting for black to commit to a plan. h8, takes, knight f3. Now this exchange actually favors black because now the bishop pair will be gone. However, this way, this king will become much weaker than it was before when there was still a bishop on this square on g7. Knight c5, hitting this pawn on a4. But here comes the big move c3, which is amazing pawn sacrifice. Even if black takes, b takes, knight takes a4, there's d4. And like a domino, it's going to fall into places as if there's cd, e5. All of black's pieces are scattered. And that gives very good compensation for white in this case. Knight b3 was played, rook d1, rook d8, knight h4. Notice this route by the knight, immediately going for that g6 weakened pawn. Queen c8, and realizing that this bishop ain't doing nothing, she brings that bishop to g4. Bishop f3, which is a very strong move. Activating a bad bishop and turning it into a monstrous one. Bishop g4, queen f7, knight f3. Now the knight has done its job. The bishop is already active, and she's planning to go with h4, h5 later. g8, h4, and g7, rook f2. We've got a half-open file. Target the f pawn. Rook d6, rook f1, rook d8, c2. Now queen c2 is a little bit of a strange move. You've been playing on this side of the board, but you still play queen c2. Probably what happened is, in case of h5 takes, queen h7 looks fairly annoying because your king is in the way and you're getting pinned. However, in this position, white has this beautiful sacrifice of knight g5. You can't quite capture it because there's rook f7 check, and after the exchanges, white will win the queen. But in any case, queen c2 is an interesting idea, trying to put pressure on this knight first and then go for h5, because this queen will have to tend for this pony on b3. 6, h5. Now c4 is considered and is probably a good move. However, it's not really in the spirit of the position, and white was already aiming for a kingside attack. h3, takes, bc, d4. White already is committed for the attack, so she sacrifices all those pawns. The queen is gambiting. Takes, knight takes, rook takes. Now, a side note here is that knight takes is the most logical move here, because you want to activate both of your rooks on the f file. And if you take with the c pawn, you can't quite achieve it just yet because your knight is in the way. Takes, e5, very beautiful sacrifice. Now rook takes g4 would lose to e takes f6, as these pawns would just march down the board. So black had to play f5, bishop f5, and this was actually the last chance for black to survive. Probably taking that bishop was the best. Queen d5 was a mistake, because in that case there's this very nice move of bishop e6. Can't quite take here, because there's queen takes f2. Some nasty checks on f8. If you take here, check, you must take, but after rook f6 check, your lady is gone. Not much you can do, and you will lose. So black plays rook h8, bishop h3, knight takes g6, and seemingly everything is superb for black. Control on the file, the queen is in the center, and sometimes defends the f7 square. But what pow! Rook f7 check, has to move to h6, but here comes the big sacrifice. Queen takes g6, and suddenly there's no way of hiding, because even though the queen and rook is well poised for the struggle, there will be no second move. It's just gonna be checkmate. After king takes g6, there's a check, check, check again, king g6, rook f6 check, here, check, and bishop f5 checkmate. A very beautiful attacking game. Since after c3, Beth went full throttle in, always attacking, just going forward, onwards, and onwards. A bit of a nod to Bobby Fischer, who loved this system of knight f3, knight c3, but still a spectacular game. Also a side note that after king h6, queen takes g6, black resigned. Really hope you enjoyed this small analysis of this beautiful game, and stay tuned for the next session. That I am signing off. If you have any thoughts, comments, please below. Thank you all. See ya next time.